coronavirus. There are also coronaviruses that affect many other animals, and it accelerates that type of research. We're very fortunate that we have the 15 years unencumbered access to all of the animal biotechnology developments that come out of the university, and so that gives us early ability to develop these. And over those 15 years, we're pretty certain there'll be a unicorn that comes out. So COVID has been a double-edged sword. It was a little bit difficult, but I think there's a lot of very positive things that have come out.
Thank you, Glenn. And Jamie, can I ask the same question to you?
Sure, yeah. So there's obviously two sides to our business. So on the production side for restaurants, obviously there was a pretty much immediate drop in revenue and activity. Luckily, we were able to retain all of our staff. But what we actually did is take it as an opportunity to focus on the B2C home market and actually apply for a grant from the government, which enabled us to kind of change some of our methods of production and distribution. On the technology side, we were obviously in the middle of a big build program when COVID hit. So I think we saw probably maybe a 6-week delay in our build program overall, but luckily the supply chains in the UK weren't hit too much because all of our supply chain for our tech is UK based. And then another really interesting thing to come out of it is the fact we've developed some very timely relationships around research in the phytopharmaceutical space. So a collaboration that we're doing with another company with a view to developing a herbal medicine that focuses on respiratory conditions and a replacement for over-the-counter cold and flu medication also is incredibly timely. So there's been a lot of positive things to come out of it despite the impact on the world. But finally, just to say as well that I think, to echo Glenn's point, I think perceptions on food and stability have completely changed globally, and there needs to be some degree of change.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just to remind anyone, if you have a question, please do put it in the chat bar, and we'll ask away. So, really good question from Dino, and this is to both companies. Is there any dialogue with private sector companies in the UAE or other GCC countries? Dino, I assume you mean at present. So, Glenn, would you like to have a go answering that first?
Sure, we have some dialogue with our shrimp projects and our insect projects in both the UAE and the rest of the Middle East there. So they're both technologies that can very easily be rolled out within the Middle East.
Yeah, and on our side, we're in advanced stage negotiations for a wide-scale collaboration with one of the leading agricultural companies for the Middle East. We think a partnership-based approach is best. We do not want to be sending people who don't speak Arabic and don't understand the region out there. So for us, yeah, we're preparing on that side, and through them we have a pretty substantial pipeline already lined up.
Wonderful, great. In my experience, I've worked for many years now in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia prior to moving to the UAE, but approaching via a partnership model as opposed to opportunistic deals is absolutely the way to go. I would keenly encourage everyone, investors and UK companies alike, to approach by that route. We've had a good question from Lewis. What crops can currently be successfully grown in a vertical farm environment other than leafy greens, herbs, strawberries, etc.? I think that's one for you, Jamie.
Sure. So, good question. I think as the industry is still pretty young and nascent, we are limited to things like leafy greens, whole head lettuce. Yes, some companies are starting to do strawberries. We're obviously trying to diversify and move into the phytopharmaceutical space as well. There's also algae. There are potatoes that we're looking at aeroponically, which is another interesting one. Obviously, vertical farming systems do have limitations in terms of, and will always have limitations in that we're not going to be growing things that have massive roots or require a tree. But I think year on year we're seeing more and more varieties of products being grown